Welcome to the 8th video in the series, The Character of the Communist Mode Production According to Marx and Engels. Today we'll be going over the 1867 piece by Marx, Capital, Volume 1, Part 1, Commodities and Money, Chapter 1, Commodities. I have subtitled this, Communism is Natural, Spontaneous, and Direct Social Organization. Communism is a negation of the negation of capitalism and class society as a whole. It is not simply a direct and base rejection of it, but rather a fulfillment of the varying contradictory forces within capitalism coming to a head and carrying out an internal revolution and transformation which does not do away with the development of previous class society, but rather transforms them and thus overcomes and preserves all previous society in new form. One cannot understand communism without understanding capitalism, the origin of the premises of communism's existence. All that makes up capitalism is negated, and in turn, that negated state is washed away in the same way that the true negation of religion is not atheism, but simply not even having a conception of religion. Therefore, the character of communism can be found through the investigation of capitalism, with the understanding that all capital is, a generalized commodity-producing society, is directly reversed, transformed, and reconstituted, and then liberated from those social contradictions. In capitalism, as a mode of production characterized by general commodity production, production becomes specifically for the purpose of the products being exchanged, resulting in the value being taken into account before and during production. This causes the labor content to have a twofold character. The labor must produce a socially useful product as a use value, its social utility as something a given society desires for whatever reason, and have an exchange value, equalized to all other kinds of labor, abstract from any inequalities principally via reduction to a common denominator as human labor in the abstract, that is, labor power. All products, therefore, must be useful for others, and the labor of anyone is compared to the labor of everyone. In communism, such limitations are removed. Production can be done for the sake of self-satisfaction, and is no longer compared to all other forms of labor, only to labor of the same kind. The producers are associated at all times, and value is abolished, having all of society's production held in common, and all labor recognized with its individual characteristics. Production becomes solely for use, without twofold contradictory character. In a commodity-producing society, commodities can only be exchanged indirectly through intermediaries, as no one will exchange something for an identical copy. This produces a complex social division of labor, shaped by independent producers who must enter the market with differentiated products, since producers are forced into the market by social arbitrage, giving rise to a rigid division of labor. Under communism, this social division of labor dissolves as production is oriented towards communal use rather than exchange, ending the need for intermediated exchange of unique products. While someone might have a particular concrete form of labor they prefer, it is no longer socially required for such relations. Even if everyone enters into one form of labor and eschews all others, there is still no social division of labor, but a spontaneous one. In capitalism, there's a fundamental contradiction between wealth and value, where producing more material wealth results in each unit holding less value as products no longer require scarcity, a result of higher amounts of social labor time to produce a commodity, to have higher value. This arises from the dual nature of labor. Concrete labor, that is, distinct activities like tailoring or weaving, produces specific use values as a source of material wealth along with nature, which requires concrete labor to convert into useful products, while abstract labor is a social relation that arises when various forms of labor are homogenized through exchange. Through this abstraction process, all concrete forms of labor are reduced to the same, quote, human labor in the abstract, end quote, equating all products to commodities that differ only in quantity. This means that producing more of one commodity can diminish its value relative to others. Under capitalism, all products are commodified, meaning they are reduced to exchange values expressed in prices. The homogenization of labor into abstract labor underpins this process, as commodities become valued not for their unique qualities or uses, but rather for their ability to enter the market and participate in exchange. This exchange-based recognition of labor causes labor itself to lose its individual qualitative character, and all commodities acquire a twofold nature: as use values, for their physical utility, and as exchange values, for their market-determined worth. Thus, labor is only socially recognized when it results in a commodity that can be exchanged. Products thereby lose their unique, concrete characteristics and become mere units in a world of generalized commodity exchange, alienated from the specificity of their use. In communism, this entire abstraction process is abolished. Commodity production, exchange, and money as the quote, general commodity are eliminated, meaning there is no need for labor to be recognized through abstract exchange. Instead, labor retains its concrete individual character and is socially acknowledged for its unique form and usefulness. Without the need to quantify and compare all labor and products through exchange, wealth is produced purely for use, and the antagonism between wealth and value disappears. Social relations are direct, without the mediation of commodities, where it is only when products are exchanged that individuals come into relation with one another, and those relations are determined by the conditions of exchange, and labor is recognized fully in its material form and qualitative value, enabling a fundamentally new mode of production. In capitalism, commodities appear independent of human activity, obeying their own laws and interests. As an example, quote, the market is doing such and such, wherein the market, a social force, acts as an entity with agency and, of their own interest, enter into relation with each other and humanity. This alienates humans, removing their social power over themselves within their life activity, with humans merely responding in a subordinate manner to social processes rather than as agents of history, and leads people to ascribe supernatural qualities to commodities. In communism, such fetishism ceases, and the products of society hold their real character as social products. Men enter relations with each other directly instead of having their relations mediated by the world of commodities. Under capitalism, through exchange, values are equated across products, which in turn equates the human labor expended upon them. Value, therefore, is a relation between persons expressed as a relation between things. With exchange abolished under communism, this relationship between people becomes direct with no mediating intercessor. Thus, value is abolished, as it only emerges by continual expression of quantities of value in relation to one another that are varied continually independently of the producer, whose social action is alienated into the commodity, which they become subservient to. In capitalism, value, or the socially necessary labor time for production of a given class of commodities, becomes what commodities orbit around due to the market and constant motion, mediated by degree of competition, how largely the commodity is produced, and the division of labor leading to complex production chains, which result in any super profit self-cannibalizing from other producers in the long run. Communism, on the other hand, has no need to determine price through this constant fluctuation, competition, and so on. Competition is abolished, as is the market. Instead, labor is directly recognized, and society organized accordingly with statistics and direct determination of social need. In communism, it is a community of free individuals who labor with the means of production in common. Labor is consciously socialized and combined throughout the whole community. The total product of the community is a social product, made up of products that are useful for the community. One portion of production is to produce new means of production and remain social. Another portion is consumed as means of subsistence, distributed according to the productive organization of the community and its level of societal development. In the lower phase is according to the labor time of the individual. In the higher, such limitations to distribution become a fetter to production and consumption, and humanity transcends such. We'll go into greater detail about this in the critique of the Gotha program read later down below, and also anti-Düring to some degree. Labor time in this lower phase plays a double part. It is organized according to a social plan, which determines needed production to achieve the goals of the community, and it acts as a measure of the portion of the common labor borne by each individual, and their share of total product in the means of subsistence. Such a social organization is not utopian in the slightest. Rather, it is the most natural form of social organization imaginable. Marx references the actions of Robinson Crusoe, shipwrecked on his fictional island, as an example of this spontaneously occurring, compared to the complexities of capitalism, which Crusoe could never have carried out despite having come from a capitalist society. Lastly, Marx traces the development of religion, which emerges out of material reality and reflection of it, in the way we socially organize, rather than us modeling our social organization off of religion, descending from heaven unto earth. For capitalism, wherein all objects are imbued with supernatural qualities through fetishism, and all labor made homogeneous, newer forms of Christianity, for example, Protestantism, Deism, Evangelicalism, Mormonism, and so on, are the most fitting. Other societies and their social organization produce distinct and fitting religions that reflect the values and interests of that society. In this society where the productive forces of labor are fully developed, the relations between man and nature are fully developed, comprehensive, and direct. Religion and all of its trappings of hierarchy can finally disappear, and its negation, atheism, can in turn be negated. And that is my summary of Marx's Capital Volume 1, Part 1, Commodities and Money, Chapter 1, Commodities. So, as usual, if you would like to go over the quotations that I based the summary off of, then feel free to go into the description and open up the Google Doc. And potentially consider joining the United Marxist Pact Discord server, also linked, where if you would like to discuss this further, I would be happy to, along with many others. Tomorrow we will be reading over the 1885 piece by Marx, Capital Volume 2, Chapter 16, The Turnover of Variable Capital. Thank you for joining me for today's topical summary, and I hope to see you tomorrow.